We've got our first look at DreamWorks' upcoming animated sequel, Bad Guys 2. Let's take a look. DreamWorks have dropped the very first trailer for Bad Guys 2, which is set to hit theatres in 2025. Ahead of the trailer launch, I was lucky enough to check it out early and chat with the movie's director, Pierre Palafel, and producer Damon Ross about everything you can expect from the long-awaited sequel. While this was a video conversation, we had some technical difficulties recording the video, but I'm sure you'll still be super excited to hear all the goodies Pierre and Damon dropped here. Guess first off, can you tell me what we can expect from this installment?
Well, I think we can expect a bigger cinematic experience with, definitely bigger set pieces, like tons of, like a beautiful it really is a beautiful action comedy film. Where we're pushing things, we're getting our bad guys to leave Los Angeles and get to explore new set pieces, new locations, and really expand on that world. That I think that was what was exciting about doing a sequel is just like how do you expand that universe of the bad guys, bring new characters, deepen their relationship, deepen what they're going through. And I think playing with a little bit of a different genre, pay homage to a different genre. In this case, as the first one was kind of Ocean 11 influenced, or an homage, an homage to the heist genre. This one's definitely an homage to the James Bond and Mission Impossible genre movies, but with all the love that we can give it, because we're big suckers for that kind of those kind of films. Definitely, I am. And big action films, and I think this is a franchise that totally lends itself to it, which we're very excited about. So this is a big fun ride. That's
really exciting to hear. And a question I had was, it was in fact going to be that the first one was very inspired by Tarantino and the Oceans films, and I was going to ask what else did you draw inspiration from this installment? So that's really exciting to hear. But can you elaborate on that? What exactly have you pulled from those kind of films?
First of all, the book series was born from Australia.
Yeah.
Author Aaron Blabey. He does the same thing. He loves American cinema, Western cinema. He in the books he genre hops. So he starts off with that Reservoir Dogs kind of vibe, and then he moves into sci-fi, alien invasion, post-apocalyptic stuff, Mad Max. He plays in a lot of different sandboxes. Yeah. And so we knew when we were developing the first one, if we got a chance to make another one, it'd be fun to just expand and evolve the genre, not just do another Ocean's 11 movie. Yeah. So, of course, there's a heist element in this sequel. There's more than one, but we the canvas is much bigger. So we've moved now. We've drawn inspiration from, as we've discussed, from James Bond, Mission Impossible, and I think Mission Impossible franchise is like the crown jewel of franchises that just delivers on extraordinary set pieces. I think that's what this one has, even greater than the first movie. Bigger, more elaborate, more cinematic set pieces.
We refined the experience for all audience, specifically general audience. I think we aged it up a little bit so that, adults will definitely, see all, just pick on all these little winks that we're doing. The plot is a bit more refined, a bit more subtle, a bit more complex. And then we're definitely pushing that sophistication, juxtaposed with that silliness of the characters' animation. So it really is like I think, to me, in my opinion, a really nice blend. And really just is going to appeal to everybody in a great, great way. Even more so than the first one.
That's really exciting to hear. That's everything I want to hear. It gets me so much more excited.
Because we are so excited about it. This is what you're going to do. And it's definitely, definitely works for a lot of our generation, 100%.
And of course, we're making these movies for ourselves. Like, these are movies we'd love to go see. They're without kids. And, it just appeals to our kind of innate sensibilities.
Yeah. That's really great to hear. Do we open with like a James Bond-esque title sequence? Yes.
I mean, not the title sequence, not the song, and not that. Yeah. We open with like a badass prologue.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Our bad guys kind of like it's the inception for how Mr. Wolf got his car.
That's very exciting. Oh man, you just everything you say gets me even more excited. As I mentioned, you've got the whole original cast returning, which is incredible because it's such a great cast. What can you tell me about potential new characters, potential new cast members joining? Are we able to divulge any of that at this point?
Well, we have 3 new characters. You know, we just brought in like formidable foes to our bad guys who are trying to reinsert society as good guys at this point, beginning of the story, and get pulled out of retirement by a trio of formidable female villains, the bad girls. So they are led by a super cool snow leopard who is like kind of essentially Wolf 2.0. She's badass, she's slick, she's, strong and muscular and smart and super cool. And her name is Kitty. And she's gonna be played. I mean, she's played by Danielle Brooks, and kind of like proved herself to be kind of like having bigger ambitions than even Wolf could have. Her, acolytes or partners,
her girls,
yeah, are Pigtail, who's a kind of a wild boar, like a giant character who's actually incredibly naive and cute and a little bit of a klutz and definitely a huge fan of the bad guys.
Self-described crime nerd.
Played by Maria Bakalova, and she's kind of the MacGyver / engineer / scientist of the gang. And then the third character is Doom, and she's a raven, and she's the femme fatale of the trio. She's the one who kind of lures the bad guys into their trap by seducing Snake. And she's played by Natasha Lyonne, and she's super dry and super sarcastic. And she and Marc together is like
it's a comedy lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. So as you can tell, we had, or we still have. I mean, like the original cast of the first movie is like, I mean, a delight. And then I think in the heels of that, for this one, I think we brought 3 new actors and a bunch of smaller ones that are like just same things. Just
and then, I mean, we didn't even realize it, but Danielle and Natasha, of course, were in Orange is the New Black together. They're like best friends. They're all friends with Nora Awkwafina. It's like they all kind of just happen to be kind of close friends outside of the bad guys. So, and that wasn't by design. We just chose people that felt right for the world.
Yeah.
And it's another fun layer.
Yeah. Sometimes these things just work out that way.
Yeah.
By the way, we tried to record them. I don't know if we talked about it last time we saw each other, but tried to record them together.
Mm-hmm.
So the actors, because, and I think it kind of comes from Sam, who's such an actor's actor, and he loves to be able just to play and act with, a fellow actor in the room, or more if he can, really submerge himself into that role. And I think for this one, we did a little bit of that in the first one, but this one definitely we tried to get them as much as possible together. So it gives you that flavor, very naturalistic flavor of, actors, really, our characters really responding to each other and listening to each other. And I think we pushed that more in this one, which also gives it more of a live action feel, actually.
Yeah.
In a cool way.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That I think you can always tell when the recording's been done, because there's just that fluidity. You can tell that they're working off each other, maybe a little bit of improvisation. You can always tell it.
A big part of the casting choice decisions on our part were actors who had already a knack for that. Because we have great writers, and the writing is really strong. It's a great foundation, and then you want actors who can take those lines and then just like use that as a jumping off point as well, and play and riff and have fun. You get some of the funniest moments in the sequel are from the group record we did with all the bad guys together. For the first time. It was really a dream. And Sam, ever since then, Sam was like, well, let's do it again. Every time. Why can't we just have everyone together?
There has to be a challenge, I think, in following up what is such a fantastic first installment. And I imagine there's all kinds of pressure in trying to live up to it, make it bigger and better. Where do you start when you're going into a project like this?
I think following our guts in this one, I mean, again, we also have a bit of support with the books, definitely. And if you think about this, the progression through, progression of these characters, they're starting as like super villains, super bad guys, big bad wolf, etc. And then if you think of it as many movies, where are they going to land in their way to being good? Well, if you look at the mirror of that, superheroes are heroes, definitely acclaimed heroes. And I think that's the progression we're following. That's kind of the North Star for us. So, okay, we have that North Star. We know our characters are fresh out of prison, and then we want to play with a different genre. And I think that's where it all started, and then
it's an evolution towards their, right, like Pierre said, the ultimate goal of like full acceptance by society. And of course, here they are, freshly out of prison, reformed bad guys, having paid their debt to society, and expecting the world to welcome them with open arms, of course. And it doesn't go that way. It's definitely a lot harder than any of them anticipated, especially Mr. Wolf, who made this very difficult choice for not just himself but for the whole gang to leave the bad life and work towards being good guys. And so that's really the crisis of conscience that Wolf will face in this movie: is did he make the right choice?
Yeah, I love that. So I guess even you mentioned the genre hopping, that perhaps makes it a little easier to attack this one.
Yes, because to attack this one, or probably any other one that could come after that one, is like, all right, what is our sandbox on that project? Where do we want to play with? What are we attracted to? And I think we kind of crossed that first box with Ocean 11, and then like, oh my god, I'm itching to just play more like super cool stunts and whatnot. All right, let's go there, and then next one we'll see what it is. But I think there's a little bit of that. It's like, nerding out on our own, on what we've always loved and our influences as filmmakers and artists, and lovers of cinema, really.
Yeah. I love the art style of the first film. It's just amazing. And I feel like DreamWorks has been making a real huge effort across all projects to kind of avoid having a house style. There's like all of the projects that have been coming out over the last 5 years or so are so very different and original.
Trademark of the studio, which we love.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's really great. But what were you able to bring to this one artistically that might be a little bit different to what we saw in the first? What else we've seen from the studio, or are you really just trying to stay within that same sandbox?
Well, it's a bit of it's a balancing act, isn't it? Because I think the first one really struck I think a successful balance of just bringing a new style, a new visual look, a new style of animation that we hadn't really explored before at the studio, without losing its audience. Because we can now 4 years later, post Spider-Verse, post Bad Guys, post Puss in Boots, and all that stuff. Now people are really getting used to it, and post Arcane, people are really getting used to it. Back in 2019, when we started, it was not the case. So we had to trade carefully and just making sure that we would not lose our audience there. So we were illustrative, we were also just a little pushed, but still a little conservative. I think on this one, we're keeping that, we're pushing things a little bit further, graphically speaking. More importantly, I think we're playing with, new a camera style that is a bit more elaborate, a bit more pushed, including, trying new lenses like fisheye, which are very tricky to do in CG, and give a lot of energy to the shots, and also push towards a even more anime inspired kind of couple of moments where we just are like really playing with graphic animation, graphic cuts, and graphic shots. Like when I say graphic, it's more like incredibly dynamic shots that are more influenced by Japanese animation than live action or American animation. So trying to push that way. Graphically speaking, a bit more like hand-drawn feel on the special effects, line work on the surfacing and brush strokes. We reshape the characters a little bit. And then matte paintings that are even more painterly and illustrated. It's not vastly different. It's just an evolution of that.
But you'll feel it. You'll feel the difference.
You'll definitely feel the difference.
Yeah.
But so it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like finding, like treading that very lightly and making sure that we are able to not lose our audience, stay in the same.
Yeah, you don't want to betray
not fully reinventing.
Betray the audience that loved the first film.
Yeah.
It's too new, I think, for us to just reinvent it the way Puss in Boots reinvented the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too fresh.
With that, I'm super excited to see more from this, and I'm hoping it lives up to all expectations, and I'm sure it will. I'm loving the look of the animation once again, I'm ecstatic about the return of the original cast, and I'm equally so about the newly joining cast members. The James Bond and Mission Impossible inspiration is just the icing on the cake. I'm sure it won't be long until we get more looks at this one, and as always, I'll be right here with them all when we do. And at that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Bad Guys 2 trailer. Are you looking forward to this one? As always, join the conversation down below.